You cannot expect progress or development. At the end of the day, it's people who make or break the organization. For some skill set, for some jobs, in some parts of the city, in some parts of the organization, and there are people who apply to this job. First thing in the process of recruitment is that you start locating and develop the sources required for the number and type of employees. Prospective candidates will not be available immediately for the organization. Good morning and welcome to the second session in Unit 2, 4th semester Human Resource Management for BBA, where we're going to talk about recruitment. In the previous sessions, we were talking about the functions of human resource management, the human resource planning, and about the personal management. One of the key functions of human resource management is all about recruitment. So what does Hallett says about recruitment? It is with people that quality performance really begins and ends. And even Robert Heller says that if people of poor caliber are hired, nothing else can be accomplished, and Grisham's law will work. The bad people will dry out the good and cause them to deteriorate. So at the end of the day, what we need to learn here is that due to people, and people are the reason for the success of the organization. If you don't have good people by your side, you cannot expect growth. You cannot expect progress or development. At the end of the day, it's people who make or break the organization. Now let's move further and try to understand what is recruiting all about. It is discovering of potential candidates for actual or anticipated organizational activities. From another perspective, it is linking activity, bringing together those with jobs to fill and those who are seeking their jobs altogether. Now let's look into recruitment in a very simple way. There is a vacancy in an organization and you apply for the job, which means to say that in simpler terms, demand and supply is all about recruitment. There is a demand for some skill set, for some jobs in some parts of the city, in some parts of the organization, and there are people who apply to this job. If they feel that they are the right candidates who can be fit into it, automatically they become a part of that organization. So recruitment is the activity of filling in those vacant spaces, but with the right skill and right talent. As we move further, recruitment process begins with the personnel department. They receive requisitions for requirement from any department. The personal requisitions contains details about the position to be filled, number of persons to be recruited, their age, their qualification, their various factors, and by how these persons will be available for appointment, etc. So recruitment is not a very, very easy place, or rather, an easy exercise to do altogether. It involves a lot of micro level management. The reason is that moment an application comes into the organization, they need to scrutinize the application. They need to start seeing whether that candidate is a right fit to the organization, both in terms of the skills, the talents, the year of experience, and all those factors that comes into picture. Now, first thing in the process of recruitment is that you start locating and develop the sources required for the number and type of employees, identifying the prospective employees with required characteristics, developing the techniques to attract the desired candidates. The goodwill of an organization in the market may be one of the techniques. The publicity of the company being good to the employer, that's also a possibility through which you recruit candidates. First thing is that we're going to locate and develop the sources required and a type of employees. So moment an advertisement is being put on the newspaper or on any of the social media channels as we are talking about today, we need to see that candidates are first available for that kind of job. Now, the location, the geographical specifications, the kind of work, the type of work will definitely determine the attraction of the candidates towards the companies. So I would always say that identifying the prospective employees with the required characteristics itself is a very, very big factor. Now, sometimes you are developing techniques in order to desire to attract the candidates. Now, what you do is that one side you use the branding of the organization. The other side you see that a good brand, a good value of the organization will automatically attract a good talent. And at the end of the day, you also see that you are able to apply, you're able to go forward with candidates who are actually deserving, who are actually in need of it. The next thing is that what are the internal factors? The first one is that you have a good wage and salary practices. You have the age composition, there is promotion and retirement, your turnover rates, the nature of operation, and the level of seasonality of that operation. So all these factors will also matter a lot. Why? Because internally, the workforce already knows what kind of company we are working, what kind of policies are available for us, what is the diversity of the company, what are the chances of promotion and hike. So all these factors will combine for the HR to find out whether we can recruit people internally and whether we can manage that gap which has been found in the organization. Now, as we go ahead, the sources of recruitment, which is very important. Why? Because prospective candidates will not be available immediately for the organization. You need to search for those candidates, and they might be located in any part of the geography. So what we do is that we try to attract them by different sources. First, let's start with the internal sources. It is always desirable to utilize the sources inside before going outside. Now, let's say that there is a vacancy that has been created in the company. What we normally do is that we try to take candidates who have already been with the company, who have been existing with the company for so many years, and we take those people and try to make them go up the ladder so that they are able to get some value for whatever they have spent there. Similarly, when we look at people, we also see that their experience, their qualification, and their understanding about the company is very good. So rather than looking out for a candidate outside for whom we have to again train and make him get accustomed to the company, we can look for these kind of people and start recruiting. Similarly, Yoder and others suggest that two categories of internal resources, including the review of the present employees and nomination by the candidates of the employee. These things will actually matter a lot because these things will actually help us to develop things in a far more better manner. Now, the methods of recruitment are different from the sources of recruitment. Sources are the locations where prospective employees are available. On the other hand, methods are the way of establishing links with the prospective employees. So the recruitment method itself needs to be understood very, very clearly. Why? Because whenever we are talking about this, we need to understand those employees are available, the employees are working in tandem, and they are available in terms of, linking up to the prospective employees that whom we are checking upon. The next thing is the direct method. Now, this is one of the methods where we look into the educational and professional institutions. Then we look for the employees, the contractors with public and all the exhibit. This is a widely used method. Why I would say this is that it's a very, very traditional method of exposing your organization to the world and telling them directly that yes, we are in need of manpower and these are the people with whom we are working. So all these factors will directly help us to recruit people from the market who are available with us in terms of completing the task. Now, the indirect method, which is very, very frequently used, is also advertisement in paper, radios, and in the journals. So this is quite appropriate method, which I would say. But then the most interesting factor today is that since we have apps and we have the internet much more stronger than this media, the social medias itself have started working as the internal or an indirect source of recruitment, where we can see that a lot of people coming forward and looking into that system. With this, I come to the end of the recruitment methods and channels in this particular session. I hope and believe that all the facts and figures spoken through this session would be of a great help to you, both in terms of theory as well as in practical. In the upcoming upcoming session, we shall be talking more about the various other factors of performance appraisals and evaluations. But until then, stay tuned, stay blessed. You have a great day ahead. Thank you once again for joining me today on this wonderful session.